So let's look at some effects you can use in Premiere Pro for your remix project. One of the first things that you might be interested in doing is changing the speed of your clip. This is very easy. What we do is we select the clip in the timeline like so. We right click, go down to speed and duration, and let's just look at the settings that you can use to change the speed of your clip. We have this first box here, which is the speed either as a percentage. So for example, 50% is twice as slow, 200% is twice as fast. We also can type in a duration. For example, if you want to fit the clip into a 1 minute space, you can type in 1 minute. We can also reverse the clip. We can maintain the audio pitch. And what that means is when we change the speed of a clip, we change the video speed plus the audio speed. By clicking maintain pitch, the sound doesn't change. For example, if someone's talking, they're going to talk faster, but they won't sound like Minnie Mouse or Darth Vader. So let's look at some examples of changing the speed in Premiere Pro. Another effect you might want to use in your remix project is to make a split screen where you have two images sharing the same screen. Let's look how we can do this in Premiere Pro. So here we have two video layers in Premiere Pro. I have my Star Wars scene right here, and underneath it I have this still image of a forest. So you're going to have two layers of video, one on top, one on the bottom. Then I'm going to go into the Effect tab to find my crop effect. So I go up here to Effects, and over here on this side of the screen I go into my video effects, or what you can do, you can actually type in the name crop, and here it is here. Then I take this crop and I drop it on my top track. Then over on the left side of the screen you'll find your effects controls. Right here down at the bottom you will find the crop control. To do a very simple split screen where it's at 50%, just choose either the left or the right control and type in 50. And there you go. That's a very simple split screen. Once again, you use two layers of video, you add a crop effect to this top layer, and then change the right side to 50%. You can also use keyframes to move this crop effect. Let's look how you can do that really quite easily. I'm going to go back to this same scene. I'm going to change that right side to back to 0. And what I want to do is halfway through the shot right here, I want it to be a split screen. So I go to the beginning of my shot and I'm going to change the parameters, the animation parameters of the right side of the crop. So I click on this little time button to activate my keyframes. So I have one keyframe here. It's at 0%. I move my playhead to the middle position and I add another keyframe right here. Then I type in the 50%. And now if I play back my animation, this is what I get. So here I have, as it starts playing, the crop comes in. And it stays there. So let's look at some examples of using the crop effect to create a split screen.
You are beaten. You are beaten. You are beaten. It is useless to resist. Don't let yourself be destroyed as Obi-Wan did.
Another way to have a picture-in-picture effect is to use a mask. Once again, we need to have two layers of video. To add a mask to your top layer, we're going to use, once again, the effects control. You're going to find the mask controls right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a simple circle. When I click on it, on my top layer, I have this circle appears. It's masking everything but what's inside the circle. If I want, I can invert that. It's like a hole in the top layer and I'm seeing to the bottom layer. And I can manipulate this like this. I can add multiple masks. As you can see, I have mask 1 and mask 2. And what I can do with these masks is I can also have all these parameters I can change. With the feathering, rather than having a hard edge, I have a soft edge. There's also the opacity. I can make the mask semi-transparent. And the mask expansion, what that does is it allows me to increase the size of the mask. All of these parameters that have a stopwatch beside them, you can add keyframes and animate them. Let's look at a couple ways that you can use the mask tool, either static or using keyframes to change certain parameters.
Luke, you do not yet realize your importance. You have only begun to discover your power. Join me. Luke, you do not yet realize your importance. You have only begun to discover your power. Join me. Luke, you do not yet realize your importance. You have only begun to discover your power. Join me, and I will complete your... Luke, you do not yet realize your importance. You have only begun to discover your power. Join me, and I will... Luke, you do not yet realize your importance. You have only begun to discover your power.
Adding an effect to a video clip on the timeline is really quite simple in Premiere Pro. All we need to do is find the effect that we want and drag and drop it onto the timeline. Then what we do is we open up the effects control to change certain parameters of that effect. Let's take a look of how to do this. So here I have my clip here. I'm in the editing workspace. I click over to the effect workspace, and on the right side of my screen you'll see some folders which have different effects and presets. So what I'm going to do is open up my video effect folder, and let's just add a very simple Gaussian blur to this effect. So I just drag it from here and drop it here on my timeline. Then over here on this tab I have my effects control. I go down to the bottom. Most likely you're going to find the effect that you've dragged and dropped at the bottom of the effect control. And here I can change the amount of blurriness. And as you can see, these parameters have a little stopwatch beside them, and that means that I can add keyframes and animate this effect as it plays on the timeline. So I can bring in the blurriness, or I can take out the blurriness as it plays. Let's take a look at some effects that you might be interested in using in Premiere Pro.
You have only begun to discover your power. Join me, and I will complete your training. With our combined strength, we can end this destructive conflict and bring order to the galaxy. Strength. We can end this destructive conflict and bring order to the galaxy.
I'll never join you!
If you only knew the power of the dark side.
I'll never join you!
If you only knew the power of the dark side. Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father.
He told me enough.
Father.
He told me enough. He told me you killed him.
No. I am your father. I am your father.
That's not true. That's impossible.
Search your feelings. You know it to be true.
There are two workspaces we can use to add audio effects to our sound. Of course, the first one is the effect workspace, and over here you'll see that we have a folder for audio effects. Adding an effect to an audio track is as easy as adding it to a video track. We find the effect that we want and we drag and drop it to the audio track. So I'm going to do a pitch shift. So I go under time and pitch, and I take the pitch shifter and I drop it, of course, on the audio track. Then what you'll find underneath my effect control up here on the left, you can see my pitch shift special effect. And one of the easiest ways to start using an audio effect is to use the presets. So I'm going to go to Custom Setup, Edit. And so here are some more controls I can use to change the audio effect. And what I'm going to use is I'm going to use one of the presets, and I'm going to use Angry Gerbil. And this will make Darth Vader sound like Darth Gerbil.
Complete your training. With our combined strength, we can end this destructive conflict and bring order to the galaxy.
That is super scary. Another workspace we can use to manipulate our audio is to use the audio workspace. When you select the audio workspace, what you'll find is on the right side of the screen you have the essential sound controls. What I can do in the audio workspace using the essential sounds is I can assign a certain tag to a type of audio. Here you have dialogue, music, special effects, and ambience. Let's see how I can make someone sound like they're talking on the phone. I select the clip I want to manipulate, and I'm going to tag it as dialogue. Underneath the dialogue, you have all sorts of controls and presets. So what I'm going to do is use the preset from the telephone. And what this is going to do is going to apply an EQ effect to the sound, and it's going to strip out all the bass of the sound. It's going to make it sound quite trebly. And when I play back the sound,
And I will complete your training with our combined strength.
sounds like Darth Vader is calling Luke Skywalker to tell him he's his father. So those are the two workspaces we can use to affect the audio in our video. We can use the effect workspace, and we just drag and drop effects onto the audio track and then change the parameters in the effect control. And we can also use the essential sounds in the audio workspace. Let's take a look at some examples of using these two methods to change the audio in our video.
Importance. You have only begun to discover your power. Join me, and I will complete your training. With our combined strength, we can end this destructive conflict and bring order to the galaxy.
We can end this destructive conflict and bring order to the galaxy.
I'll never join you.
If you only knew the power of the dark side.
I'll never join you.
If you only knew the power of the dark side. Obi-Wan never told you what happened to your father.
He told me enough. He told me enough. He told me you killed him.
No. I am your father.
And there you go. I hope you found my tips and tricks helpful. Happy remixing.